Okay, ठीक है. Okay. However, I am Dr. Chatterjee is talking about the Kali Carb. Kali carbonicum, the name of the Kali carbon common name is the potassium carbonate K2OCO2. So there are I have talked already about the Kali group and the other two medicines. One is the Kali bichromicum, another is the Kali bromium. Okay, so this medicine has some own significance. All medicine have some own significance and own peculiarity and on particular symptoms, modalities and characteristic symptoms. Especially the Kali group is as a useful in case of the lots of field. Mostly Kali group usually acts easily, especially in the children, old people and others. It is not necessary that only this is useful for the cases of the old people, only it is useful for the purpose of the respiratory troubles or the joint or other or the nervous systems. So if we see the Kali group in general, then we will find it. It is if you see the physiological action of the Kali group is that this acts specially upon the respiratory tract. Okay, respiratory mucous membrane, the digestive tract, and the ovarouterine system. Then question comes, the respiratory system. It acts on the respiratory system specially and producing the cough, cold and the asthmatic problem. Even if it is acts on the digestive system, it produces the vomiting, nausea and back in abdominal problem, gases and other problem. If it is the action on the uterine and ovarouterine system, then what will happen? It will producing the uterine disorder and so on. So this physiological action is very important and it is useful in these cases, especially which I have already mentioned. But not only that, it also acts on the skin and the other parts of the body. Okay, the condition is produced is one of excessive irritations and giving rise to a condition bordering on inflammation and yet hardly reaching that point. So it is producing the irritations. Especially on the irritation and inflammation, especially on the mucous membrane and the heart, lungs, digestive tract, urinary tract, and all other parts of the body. So in initial stage, it does not do anything. But in case of the initial stage, in case of the heart, there is some fluid collection, then you can think of these drugs. Okay, so in where there is any fluid collection, we must think also the Kali carbonicum and also the Kali muriaticum. ठीक है ना? Initial stage में aconite, belladonna, these medicine are mostly useful. Ferrum phos like this. Whereas in case of the chronic disease condition, where there is the fluid collection, where there is serosanguinous fluid, we can think of these drugs. There is the enfeebleness of the heart, lowers the temperature and causes the anemia. So if there is any enfeebleness, weakness of the cardiac muscles, weakness, we can think of these drugs. Even somewhere the sac are also involved in it. Then promotes the tissue waste, increases the amount of urine, and its solid constituents, especially uric acid and the urea. So what will you think? The uric acid, urea, that you will see increases. Okay? Next number, if we see, then what are the signs and symptoms, the clinical symptoms or the therapeutics is produced by these drugs. There are so many symptoms can be produced or they will be useful in so many drugs, especially the anemia, the asthma, the cough, the consumption, there is the tuberculosis and the hemorrhage and headache, hemorrhoids, hysteria, sciatica, vertigo, and other problems. Even the dysmenorrhea during the pregnancy, some other complaints are there. Okay? So this is not only the factor, this is the only the therapeutics, but any symptoms can be produced by the Kali carbonicum. Okay, so if we go in basically, the Kali carbonicum is a medicine very often on it is used. So the best use, especially we are using in case of the cough cold problem, respiratory disorder, and the joint problem and fluid collection in any part of the body. The weakness characteristics of all potassium salt is seen, especially in this, with soft pulse, coldness, general depression, and very characteristic stitches pain. So there is any stitching pain, very characteristics, which may be felt in any part of the body or in connection with any affection, So this is very important. If there is any depression, there is any stitching pain. Stitching pain is very characteristic of these drugs. Okay, Kalika, bryonia, lesion, which may be felt in any part of the body. So it is connection with any affections. It is not related with the particular area. And all Kali pains are very sharp and cutting pain and lancinating pain. So it is very important in this cases. Somewhere the Kali group mentioned usually aggravation affects the between the 2 to 5, 6 a.m. So Kali Carb also have some particular modalities which is aggravation at the time being. All Kali pains are already sharp and cutting pain, nearly all other, and the motion is there. Very never uses the salts of potash where there is the fever according to TFL. इसलिए काली कार्बोनिकम को वो जगह में नहीं देना चाहिए जहाँ पे फीवर मौजूद है. So in case of the Kali carb, the Kali carb should not be prescribed in that places where there is any fever is there or there is an inflammatory condition is there. So next number, never use the salts like this way. The peculiarity of this drugs is intolerance of the cold in any form. Together, very sensitive to atmospheric changes, and intolerance to cold weather is very important. One of the best remedies followed by the liver. What will you find it? In case of the liver, there is during the liver pregnant time, there is the stitching type of pain. So stitching type of pain is very important in consequence of this. Cold weather, the best remedies following liver, miscarriage or consequence effect, debility state, early in the morning aggravation is very characteristic of these drugs. This is usual in case of the freshly aged peoples with dropsical or parenting conditions. Dropsical condition में इसका ज़्यादा इस्तेमाल होता है. Even the paralytic condition में. Okay, and tendencies, there is a sweat, there is the backache and weakness, throbbing pain is also there. So sweating, backache, weakness is very characteristic symptoms of the drugs. Throbbing pain is also very important. Tendency to dropsy, usually क्या देखा गया? The dropsical tendency है. Sometimes there is the fluid collection. You can take up under the eyelids, upper eyelids, and whole eyeballs or surrounding the eyeballs. Okay, so tendency to dropsy. There is the tubercular death is also. Pains from within out and of stinging in character, giving out sensation. So as like the children, as like the continuing fatty degeneration of the heart and stinging pain in muscles and internal parts. So stinging is a very important of these drugs. And twitching is also very important. Twitchings of all parts of the body. ठीक है ना? Twitchings, pains from within out and of stinging character and fatty degeneration, twitchings of the muscles, pain in the small spot on left side usually, hypothyroidism and coccytitis. Okay, so if we see it, then there is the chances of this. So Kali group in general, they usually affects the nervous system and along with it. So if we see the causative factors, they are usually very chilly patient. So they are very chilly patient. So if there is an exposure to cold, causation is the exposure to the cold. Belladonna is also there, aconite is also there. If there is an overstrain, there is an sexual excess, calcula carb, conamiculatum, caliphos, lycopodium, natrium, natsmonica, phosphoric acid, selenium, sepia and staphylococcus. So sexual excess is very important of these drugs. Okay, if there is an ice cream problem and the iced water, so complex aggravation from ice cream or iced water or ice, if any type of cold things is there. After all the cold food, cold drinks, cold substance, cold beverage, there is aggravation. After loss of the vital fluid also very important of these drugs. So in case of the loss of vital fluids, natrium is also there, Carb is also there, caliphos is there, and carbovate is also there, and so on. Phosphoric acid is there, staphylococcus is there, and etc. etc. So many drugs are there which are helpful for the curing the medicine, and this type of symptoms may be present. If we see the constitutions, so in case of the constitutions, general appearance of the drugs, the patient is very dark and skinned and hair, but of lack of wrinkles. So you see the patient usually very much dark and skinned hair, but of lax fibers with inclination to obesity. Inclination to obesity, especially helpful in manage of the life of the old people. Next number who are fleshy with drastical conditions, those who are healthy and dropsical conditions. In these cases, fleshy persons, dropsical condition, puffiness of over eyelids, and paralytic tendency of the abdomen is very important things. If you see that is the myosm, so then the tubercular myosm is there. Tubercular myosm is there. It is also a good anti-sodic medicine. Okay, so tubercular myosm and anti-sodic medicine also there. So it is covers the two things. One is the anti-sodic, another is the anti-tubercular. Next number, if we see the mental generals and others, that we'll discuss later on. If we think that is what are the basic characteristics of the Kali carb. The basic characteristics is the weakness and characteristics of potassium salts, especially in this with soft pulse and coldness, general depression and very coldness, depression and very characteristics are there. Stitches are there which may be felt in any part of the body or in connection with an affection. All Kali pains are surf and cutting. Kali pains are surf and cutting. Nearly all better by motion. Actually, never use any salts or polish. Where there is a fever, sensitive to every atmospheric changes and intolerance of cold water, one of the best remedies following liver is this. Miscarriage for consequent debilitated states, early morning aggravation is very important on the characteristics of these drugs. The fleshy aged people who drop with dropsical and paralytic conditions, paralytic tendencies, sweat, backache and weakness is very characteristic symptoms. इसलिए काली ग्रुप एक चीज दिखा जाती है. The Kali groups are having excessive sweating, excessive backache and weakness. So sweating while they are working or ascending ups and downs. Another is the backache while sitting or during pregnancy, there they see we had this type of backache, and also there is the weakness. Okay, throbbing pain is also there. Tendency from within out and of stinging character, as well as the stinging sensation, giving out sensation, fatty degeneration of the blood. My OP drugs for kali microbicum, kali iron, even the phosphorus, sulfur, even the kali carb. These are also having the fatty degeneration of the liver. Okay, stinging pains in muscles and internal parts, stinging pain in the muscles and internal parts, twitching of the muscles, pain and small spots on left side hypothyroidism. So left-sided hypothyroidism is also there. Next number, if we see the mental generals, so mental general has some lots of importance. In case of the mental generals, what we will find there? They are the very despondent, they are the alternating moods, they are very irritable, full of fear and imaginations. These symptoms are very predominant in case of the carbonic chemical. They are the full of fear and imaginations. Anxiety felt in the stomach, anxiety felt in stomach, sensations as if bed were sinking, never was to be left alone. Never quite a contented, obstinate and hypersensitiveness to pain and stitches there and so. So, in case of the they are very sensation of bed are very sinking, never waits when from that time, never quite to contain an obstinate mentality, and plus hypersensitive to pain and the noise and the touch. So like the hypnotism, so like the belladonna, they also having this type of symptoms. Next number, if we see the other symptoms of the kalika, in case of the mental symptoms, and at the same time, if we comprise it, great aversion of being alone, अकेला रहने से उसको बहुत मुश्किल आ जाते, आर्सेनिक है, बिस्मथ है, हाइसर्मस है, लैक्टन है, लाइकोबिडियम है, and phosphorus है. Aversion to being alone, ठीक है ना? इसलिए कालिक ग्रुप मेडिसिन कभी अकेला नहीं, जैसे लाइकोबिडियम अकेला नहीं पसंद करते, कालिक ग्रुप अकेला नहीं पसंद करते. Somebody should be there at least. Okay, आर्सेनिक भी है, बिस्मथ भी है, हाइसर्मस भी है, लैक्टन है, लाइकोबिडियम है, and phosphorus. Somebody should be there. So next number, fear she will die. हमेशा इन लोगों का एक डर है, they are in fear of dying. Another is the absent-minded. So absent-minded कौन है? एपिश, कैनबिस इंडिका, कॉस्टिकम, chamomilla, helleborus, nactamine, pulsatina. Then another thing is there. They are very much passionate, and it is irascible, and despondency in the opinion. Despondency in opinion disappears on entering in room. So whenever opinion लोगों को पसंद नहीं है, but disappears on entering room. जब वो खुला हवा से अंदर आ जाते हैं, तो उसका कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लम चालू हो जाता है. This is very important of these drugs. Okay. So aggravation by the Kali group, aggravation from the cold, aggravation by the alone, aggravation very touch or any type of stimulant, the Kali group is very important. Next number, despondency. Already I told you. Another thing is alternative mood. Kali group, alternative mood is there. Alumina, belladonna, bovista, ferrum, ignitia, iodium, lycopodium, platina, and zinc. So in case of the alternative moods, alumina, belladonna, bovista, ferrum, ignitia, iodium, lycopodium, platina, and the zinc. Next number, it is in frightened and cries out whenever he is touched lightly. So if anybody wants to be touched or anybody wants to come nearby him, he or she becomes frightened and they usually cries out. Okay, they usually touched very lightly. Then if we see in that is the mental symptoms, which I told about about just before that. That is the mental conditions. So this mental condition have some very much importance. Without the mental condition, homeopaths cannot prescribe. So uncommon, peculiar, rare characteristic symptoms are also important. Okay. Next number, physical generals. If we see the physical generals in general, then what will found it? The reaction to heat and cold. The reaction to heat and cold. They are very chilly patient. Chilly all colors, mostly they are the chilies. Okay. Aversion to bread aversion, China, nut and lycopodium. And aversion to meat. These are also there. Kali in general. Aversion to meat. Okay. Next number, desserts, delicious and sour acid sweets. So delicious food they usually prefers. Sour acid, sweets, etc. If we think about the sweet, so sweet कौन कौन खाना पसंद करते हैं? That is especially the Argentum group. Okay, Argentum niticum, China, lycopodium, sulfur. But sulfur is having some craving for the sweet. Lycopodium, both the sweet and salt. Sugar, Argentum niticum is very important. In case of the sugar, there is an Argentum niticum is very important. Okay. Next number, other thing is the sweating. They usually sweats day and night. It is very important in the drugs. So this medicine usually sweats day and night, lasting all nights. While eating, that is also sweat. Carbohydrates, carbovage, marshal, nitric acid, sepia, they are also there. Aggravation from daytime, lasting all nights. While eating, after eating, these are the medicine. Then during slight exertion, mental exertion, aggravation from motion, these are very characteristic symptoms. So this the daytime aggravation and lasting aggravation at night while eating is most important. So khate there is an excessive sweating is very important. Carbohydrates, carbovage, marsh salt, nitric acid, sepia, and so on. During slight exertion, say mental or physical exertion, or any type of motion, the Kali group has some aggravation. Even not only that, even the cold weather, there is an also aggravation. Any proper sound, any external impression, that also causing the problem. The sweat is only on this single parts. Upper part of the body is also there. Upper part of the body is also there. There is the physical generals, sweating, and so on. Asara, next number, sleep. Sleep is a wake at 102 baje. Waking at 102 baje, need to jate, cannot go to sleep, awakens, between 2 to 4 a.m. This is very important symptoms of the Kali Karma aggravation between 2 to 4 a.m. in almost all components. Usually, जो भी कुछ है Kali Karma, the aggravation time is very important. 2 to 4 aggravation is very remarkable aggravation of the Kali Karma. ठीक है ना? Next number, sleep only waking hours is 1 to 2 a.m. and cannot go to the sleep. And that there the awakens between 2 to 4 a.m. in almost all components. So Kali group में modality is very important. So 2 to 4 a.m. aggravation, Kali group, Kali Karma is also there. Dreams, amorous. So one thing is there, amorous, sexual dreams, even opposite sex. It's couple dreams like that. Different fancies, different characters, and lascivious dreams, amorous. Okay, this type of symptoms usually present just before menses. Okay, and such HOKB dreams are usually mostly anxious during menses and of the dead body. So, So if we see date, arsenic, macar, thuja of the death, thuja of the death. So this type of symptoms is also present. Okay. Next number is the dreams of so approaching death, previous events. This type of dreams they will see. Falling off from a high place. Falling off from a high place. It is a very important medicine. Another thing is the fantastic dreams, or the fire, frightful, ghost. This type of dreams are also they are seen. They are the spectators. Many of the misfortune and the pleasant and the robbers, snakes are also important. So dreams of spectators, many of misfortune, pleasant dreams, robbers, snake, stone lying on him, visionaries is Calciracar, Lachesis, Calciracar, Lachesis, and Natamur, and opium and petroleum. These are also different types of dreams are also visible. Okay. Besides this, so dreams is very important. There are many of misfortunes, pleasant, robbers, snake, stone, lying on him, visionaries, Calcularia lachesis, and the lacan, natamur, opium, petroleum, and silesia. These medicine also happen this type of dreams. Another with appetite is lost. Okay, appetite is a loss of appetite. Our thirst is mostly increased. Okay, thirst is mostly increased. General modalities, but we will find that in case of the general modalities, we will find that is the aggravation after cohesion. Aggravation after cohesion, aggravation in the cold weather, aggravation generally worse in the evening, and aggravation worse in the morning and cool weather. So from soup and coffee aggravation, 2 to 4 a.m. aggravation, lying on left side is aggravation, and lying on the painful side is also aggravation. So aggravation time is also very important. Emulsion, warm weather, emulsion by the rocking during the daytime emulsion and when moving about. So emulsion is very important. Weather, rocking, emulsion by the hot, awareness of the during day and whenever moving about. So these are very important of the physical general. During the pregnancy time, during the menstruation, there is an excessive and heavy backache and there is the stitching pains. If we see the guiding symptoms, so what will find there? Cannot bear to be touched. Guiding symptoms cannot bear to be touched, starts when touched, even so lightly, especially on the feet. Okay, cannot bear to be touched, starts when touched, even so lightly, especially on the feet, bag-like swelling between the upper eyelids and eyebrows, lower epiphyse, and both the upper eyelid and lower eyelids, that is the phosphorus. Okay, so upper eyelid swelling, bag-like swelling, very characteristic indication of that is the Kali Karmanika. Next, if you see the pain, seizure, stitching, darting pain, and worse during the rest and lying on affected side. This is the aggravation, especially rest, lying down, darting type of pain, stitching type of pain, especially lying down or affected side. Aconite be arsenic and variety carbide, hypersulfide phosphorus, stitching, darting, better during the rest and lying on painful side. Brownia hai, amon carb hai, calcira carb hai, ignitia and pulsatilla. Weak eyes, mostly there is a like eyes have becomes weak. They usually sees weak eyes. What will find it in case of this medicine weak eyes, and it is due to the after cohesion, after acidity, after pollution, after sexual contact, after abortion, and after measles. So these are the very characteristic symptoms of the drugs. So after means weakness, after coition, after abortion, after pollution, and so on. Stomach is very distended. Kali ka apna stomach hamesha just like the China, bloated abdomen. Okay, carbohydrate, China, like this bloated abdomen, distended, very sensitive, feels as if it would burst. इतना ज़्यादा हो जाते, sensitive as to be burst out. Excessive flatulency, everything is even the dreams appears to convert it into gas. इसलिए इसके क्या देखेंगे? The distance of abdomen plus whatever he drinks, he converts it into gas. Even the drinking water, that converted into gas. Another medicine is that whatever may be taken to that converted into gas is also the iodium. Okay. Nosebleed when washing the face in the morning. इसलिए nosebleed में देखो ना और कुछ drugs. Early in the morning nosebleed, especially washing the mouth. हमारे पास कोई medicine है. Anica montana, that is nosebleed. Ammonium carbonicum, that is also nosebleed, and also ammonium magnesium carbonicum. Mostly they are all carbonicum group have some nosebleed. Okay, ammonium carb, natrium carb, magnesium carb, calcium carb. We find that there is the nosebleed. Another thing is the touch, toothache only when eating. Toothache only when eating. हमारा पास one medicine है. Antidote में भी लिखा है toothache only eating. There is the throbbing pain when the touched by everything, whatever may be, in the either warm water or the cold water. कोई भी touch हो गया, वो warm water हो or cold हो, there is the pain. Another medicine, mercury, backache, is sweating, weakness after abortion. Backache, sweating, weakness after abortion, labor, and metrorrhagia. While eating, weakness, backache, and so on. While walking, feels as if she must give up, and lying down. Just like like that. Obstacle complaints have their in aggravation while lying down. Cough, usually dry, hoarse, suffocated cough, that is the lugence, and usually coughs are mostly, there becomes a viscid cough, white color, and then the sticky, but that is the white, and viscid and yellow color, that the kali bichromicum. Okay. And high dust is also there. So viscid, mucus, pus, which must be swallowed, and that is the very important symptoms of the drugs. Next number, spasmodic with gagging or vomiting of ingesta, जो भी खाना खाते हैं उल्टे हो जाते हैं, hard, white or smoky noise, and flesh flies, mass of fly from the throat when coughing. Okay, जब ये cough करते हैं तो ऐसे लोगों भी सिम्टम्स होते हैं. वाइट कलर, फ्रॉदी कलर का एक्सपेक्ट्रेशन बाहर आ जाते हैं. वाइट कॉफी, बैडिया बोल के है, एंड चिलीडोनियम है. बैडिया का थोड़ा वाइट कलर होते हैं, चिलीडोनियम येलो कलर होते हैं. ओके, दिस इज द विषय. फील्स बैड एंड वीक बिफोर मेंस्ट्रुएशन. मेंसेस होने के पहले वीक, मेंस्ट्रुएशन होने के पहले वीक होते हैं, प्रोस्टेटेड हो जाते हैं. देयर इज अ बैक पेन होती है. Then the backache before and burning menses. Before menses के पहले burning sensation and backache होते हैं, and labor pain usually becomes insufficient. This is very important. And along with this, there is the stitching pain, violent headache है. Once the back to be pressed, another medicine is the caustica. As like that something is to be a pricking sensation, sticking sensation, and severe backache. The patient has to put that both hands in the back side and to relieve the pain. Even backache which is relieved by the hot emotion. Asthma relieves sitting up or bending forward. Asthma relieves when sitting up, bending forward, or by rocking worse from the 2 to 4 a.m. So whenever sitting or bending backwards or forwards, the asthma is relieved. Okay, so flexor group asthma. Usually, all the complaints of the Kali Carb visual aggravation 2 to 4 a.m. and person suffering from ulceration of the lungs scarcely get well without this antisoil medicine. इसलिए हानिकारक शब्द बोल दिया, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो अगर ज़्यादा दिन है अस्थमा कंप्लेन और रेस्पिरेटरी स्टेज, जब तक हम लोग काली कार्ब नहीं देते तब तक आराम मिलता है. So Hanuman has given some instruction regarding this. So कभी कभी देखा गया जो अस्थमा बाधा कफ कोई प्रॉब्लम में अगर जब तक काली कार्ब नहीं दिया तब तक आराम मिलता है. There is a very some symptoms are difficulty in the swallowing, sticking pain in the pharynx, and as due to the fish bone. इसलिए काली दूर में लगता है कोई fish bone pricking कर रहे हैं. Fever sulfur, nitric acid, silicea, argentiniticum, like this. Should food especially gets into a win 5, then it has been swallowed. So what do we find there? That food easily gets into it, the win 5. इसलिए there is the suffocation. Win 5 का तरफ चले जाते हैं. Pain in the back when swallowing. जब back में pain होते हैं swallowing होते हैं. The Rastax is also one of the medicine. Then sometimes we will find not only the diarrhea but also the constipations. You know, the constipation is stool usually mostly large, hard, knotty, difficult, with stitching pain, colic pains, and hour before. So constipation 1 or 2 hours before. Heart, tendency to fatty degenerations. Okay, tendency to fatty degenerations, phosphorus, aramid, etc. As if suspended by a thread. So heart का जो symptoms है, that is 2 semester like that of a, as if tendency to fatty degeneration, and it is suspended like a thread. Okay, and fatty degeneration of the heart, phosphorus and the aura metallicum, and suspended by thread is the laches is very important. Okay, laches में हम as if और एक medicine है, that is the cactus. Cactus का symptoms कैसे हैं? Such as if heart is to be tied together. Okay, these are the symptoms produced by the Kali Carb. Besides this, if we go through in details, the Kali Carbonicum, so then what we will see? The patient respiratory troubles may. The patient always complains of catarrh of the nose. With that chronic catarrh of the nose, there is a thick, yellow, fluent discharge, dryness of the nose, alternating with the stuffing of. The one who suffers from a chronic catarrh will have the discharge in the morning, which will fill up the nose with yellow mucus. In the morning, on being blown out, hawks up, dry, hard crust is there that fill up the nasal passage, clear over into the pharynx and down into the throat. इसमें जो भी कुछ करते हैं तो throat cut हो जाते हैं. This crust becomes dry as if they were partly formed upon the mucous membranes, and when they are blown out, there is the bleeding. जब जोर जोर से नाक blow कर देते हैं उस टाइम bleeding हो जाती है. The bleeding starts from the way that the crust are lifted out. कभी भी जब crust lift निकालते हैं उस टाइम the patient details that he is subjected to sore throat. Patient हमेशा बोलते हैं मेरे गला में दर्द है. Always the taking cold, very easily catches cold, and all the colds are usually settles in the throat. He is also subjected to the enlargement tonsil. Patient हमेशा tonsil का problem रह जाते हैं, and which has been enlargement of the parotid gland. Even not only the this one, उनके tonsil का problem है, parotid gland का भी problem होता है. The chest usually is often affected in the same way as the nose. There is dryness and the barking cough, hacking cough in the cold air, but a copious expectorations of mucus when it becomes warm, and that is the time he is most comfortable. But the expectoration seems to relieve him. He suffers mostly from dry hacking cough with morning expectorations. The cough begins with a dry hacking, increases gradually, and sometimes very rapidly to a violent spasmodic cough with gagging, vomiting, and when coughing, it feels as if he had would fly into pieces. The face becomes puffy, the eyes seems to be protrude, a peculiar sort of swelling between the eyelids and the eyebrows that will fills up with coughing. Your attention is called to that peculiar particular feature of for although there is protein nowhere there else upon the face that on little gagging will appear above the lids that is below the eyebrows. It fulfills sometimes to the extent of the little water, so on. Okay. Those travels are generally described by the patient. The patient हमेशा करते हैं. These are the problems it occurs during his life. The dropsies are there. Kalika is very important for the dropsies. There is a kalika dropsy all over the body, even the upper eyelid. The feet become bloated and the fingers usually puffed. The back of the hands beat upon the pressure. The face looks puffy and waxy. हमारे पास और मेडिसिन है नट्टन Thuja. These are also having the waxy. The heart is weak and we find a state of feeble circulations which is finally in symptoms. Heart problem. Along with it, there is the dropsical swelling. Next number there is also bag-like swelling under upper swelling of the upper part of the eyelids and has a sort of stitching pain in it. इसलिए जब भी कुछ हम देखेंगे इनको पर एक प्रकार का प्रॉब्लम है. नेक्स्ट नंबर they will find dyspnea. Kali micromicum is a very important medicine for the dyspnea, dyspepsia and so on. The old people are very suffering and there is the burning, acidity, a bloatingness and gagging feeling in the lump of the sweat. Lump of the stomach, after eating he feels as if he would burst, so bloated is he. Great flatulency is there. Belches wing upward and passes flutters downward. Belching fluid upwards and belching fluid passes downwards and belches upwards and passes flutter downwards and there the flutters are very much often seen. The belching ups and downs, fluid eructations, sour fluid that is the teeth of the digest, that excretes the cause smarting in pharynx and mouth. The sore eructation ends in the nausea and vomiting, and this sore vomiting is better by the lying down. Next, the anxiety felt in the stomach, with throbbing and cutting pain in the pit of the stomach, disgust the patient mostly for food. Epigastrium is extremely sensitive to touch externally due to pain stomach after eating. Gun feeling in the stomach, not relieved by it. Gun feeling in the stomach, not relieved by it. Doctor sometimes somehow or other, I don't have the fear of like this, so and so. Show the explain when it is to be frightened. It always struck to the stomach. If a door slams, she feels if right over the epigastrium, it is most peculiar and striking, being told by the patient. The stool is insufficient and soft in association to this become insufficient and soft. Then comparison relationship. The Kalika and pulsatilla, there is a very close relationship of these drugs. So in case of Kalika, aversion to open air, pulsatilla, we prefer the open air. Heat of the lower part is Kalika of the body. Heat of the upper part is part of the pulsatilla. Thirst predominant, but it is often wanting during chill. Want of thirst predominant, but constantly only during chill. Together. Next about chill increased outdoors, chill abated outdoors, desire to be alone, aversion to being alone. Okay. Somewhere there is the desires. In the contrary, pulsatilla is of the opposite, aggravation from the alone, being alone. Next number, constipation predominant in case of the Kalika, pulsatilla is the ideatic predominant. and remission before and during stools, remission from the midnight till better or worse from the being touched, worse from being touched. Sure, we will find it there in the aggravation from the touched. ठीक है ना? Kali Carb and CPR. These two medicine also having the great major role in case of the female complaint. Okay. Next, heat with the thirst. CPR may heat without thirst. Another is the fear of being alone, desire to be alone, mood indifferent, is apathetic. Kali Carb worse when hungry, CPR worse after satisfying, CPR after meal. Cough at night after midnight, cough forenoon and evening till midnight. Dry as if evening and night in the morning, Kali Carb, and during the day with expectoration which generally follow, whereas CPR during daytime in the morning, evening, and at night with expectoration which is generally swallowed. Complementary. Carbo is very complementary to Kali Carb, especially gas, respiratory tract, disorder, and the backache, and so on. Phosphorus is also very important, and CPI is also another important. Next number, nitric acid. Nitric acid may also important, and attenuate the melancholy and other symptoms may important. This is antidoted by the camphor or the coffea, antidote by camphor or coffea. And if we see the general modalities, the sensitivity to change of air is very important, and vertigo, headache, toothache, pain, thorax, epistaxis, rheumatic pain, joints, these are all aggravation by the flu. Heat aggravation, toothache, stitches in forehead and temples, heat aggravation, dyspnea, sweat, and snuffles, cold aggravation, snuffles. So this is on and about the Kali Carb in general. But the thermal cleavage is also there, chili patient, and so on. Okay.